Daily Ledger contributor Kimberly Dvorak. Kimberly, these names and addresses of active duty military personnel, U.S. military personnel, it's very clear if you start piecing this all together that Islamic State has grown well beyond the borders of Syria and Iraq. They've gone into North Africa. There's evidence, of course, in other parts of Africa, maybe East Africa, also into Afghanistan. So clearly, it's not just relegated to those portions of those two countries.
Yeah, no, and what you see here with them saying and openly asking for jihad to be committed here in the United States shows that their propaganda is actually working. And the military has responded to this by letting service members know that it's best to not be posting on Facebook. Be very careful, very diligent when you leave the base, come back on the base, make sure you're not being followed, and just be a little bit more responsible when you're posting on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the alike, because this is where even wannabe jihadis in this country can gather up addresses of personnel quite easily.
Yeah, in this day and age, in this environment, you just can't be too careful. I think that's good advice. Now, over in the Middle East, there's Operation Eagle Resolve, which is essentially war games among the United States troops as well as our, quote, allies in that region. What's going on here in terms of the timing?
Well, the timing is very curious because this is actually taking place on Kuwaiti soil and being, you know, the entire Middle East ally system. They're all participating. So does the absolutely largest joint operation that are war games, I guess, as you will, that is participating in, being front and center there in the Middle East. And of course, when they do these types of games, they're syncing up their electronic systems so they know how to, talk to one another, say something happened in the Middle East. These folks are sitting there, they're working together, they know the call signs, they know who the good guys are, the bad guys are, and they're able to work together. So that's...
Okay, so who is the bad guy in this?
Yeah, the bad guy in this, I believe that, when we're looking at the Middle East, this is still a Sunni-Shia battle. I mean, this is, you go country to country, and it's still a Sunni-Shia battle. You look at, what you just played there on tape, and of course they hate, America, death to Israel. But at this point, it's still a Sunni-Shia battle. So the Americans and, through, the Israelis have, voiced their concern about Iran's continued influence in the Middle East and North Africa, and that has been escalating, as we've seen in Yemen over the weekend, with complete chaos breaking out, and the United States pulling out not only their embassy staff, but something that they normally don't do. They don't announce when they bring out special operations people, but bringing out those special operations people and announcing that is indicative that they are thinking something bigger is going to happen. And let's remember, this is where AQAP is located, and they're the terrorist organization that has had the most successful terrorist attacks against the West. And on top of that, you've also got the counter-terrorism operations being run. That's essentially where our drone strikes were being run out of. For us to completely evacuate from that region tells us something bigger is on the horizon, and it's not something that the military would ever let go. That's information you just don't let go.
It's kind of mind-boggling to me to think about that the United States is even involved, and we are clearly in this Sunni-Shia fight that's been going on for about 1,300 years. But when you move over to Iran and what we're doing right now, what President Obama is doing, negotiating with Iran, and you juxtapose that with sound that we have now from the weekend from the Ayatollah, this is where it gets mind-boggling. Roll tape.
توجه بفرمایید. البته بله بر آمریکا چون
Okay, so we have death to America, death to America. The Ayatollah says, of course, death to America to that large crowd. Yet at the same time, we're trusting these people in negotiations for our future and for the future of Israel and for that matter, the free world.
Yeah. Well, this is something that happens every weekend over there in Iran, and this, it's not a secret that Iran would love to take out the West, start with Israel, move over to the United States. But let's keep in mind, too, when it comes to to Iran. They're actually a capable fighting partner. They do have ballistic missiles. They do have the capability to wage a pretty modern war in the region, at least.
Okay, well, stop there for a second. They do have missiles, and those missiles can be converted to nuclear warheads, right? And so when you look at the countries surrounding Iran, and when you've put together a map, we have all these Patriot missile silos or batteries that we've given to various countries, basically in a circle around Iran, correct?
Yeah, in circles, almost like a crescent or U-shape. The stands above are the only reason, the only part where we haven't put these defensive Patriot batteries around the country. But they're in every country. They're in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman even has some. Yemen does not, oddly.
Turkey's got them?
Yeah, Turkey's got them. Every country that's around Jordan has them. So, and those are defensive batteries. So if Iran is to kind of decide to strike out, then, these countries do have some form of protection. Of course, the United States, we've been spending billions of dollars investing in weaponry for the ally partners in the Middle East. It's something we've covered here on the, Graham Ledger show here. A lot, and we're talking billions of dollars worth of defensive ballistic missiles, refuelers, bunker buster bombs we've given Saudi Arabia. Don't know what Saudi Arabia needs with bunker buster bombs, but I guess the listeners can actually, make up their mind about that. But we're actually presenting a very united front against Iran while we're trying to negotiate a peace deal. And, Obama and John Kerry, the Secretary of State here, they believe that there's some sort of deal here on the horizon when you've got countries like France and Germany going, no, we're not anywhere near close to a deal because, of course, they're near the region, the United States. We won't get hit by these missiles. It would be Europe first.
Yep, and I know what Benjamin Netanyahu would do with those bunker busters, but we'll see if that is necessary. If it continues down this path, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that this calendar year. We're out of time. Thanks. Kimberly. Coming up.